British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning and welcome back. My name is Sophie Hansen and these are your news updates to 11 o'clock. Residents of a Cree community in northeastern Saskatchewan have been given the all-clear to return almost a month after a fast-moving wildfire forced them from their homes. Vice Chief Justin Halcrow of Peter Ballantine Cree Nation says the evacuation order for Sandy Bay has been rescinded. In a note to community members, Halcrow says the fire risk is now low and essential services like power, water, sewer, healthcare, and grocery stores are up and running. Buses are being provided to transport community members who had been staying in Saskatoon and Prince Albert. Its residents were ordered to leave on August 13 as fire approached the community. In Alberta, the government has announced $2.8 million in funding toward a plant that would turn landfill waste into electricity and capture the carbon it creates. The money is to go towards a $6 million engineering and design study for a project planned by Varma Energy in Alberta's industrial heartland near Edmonton. Varma expects operations will begin in 2027, and the plant would be able to capture and store about 185,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year. The province's contribution is coming from a fund industry players pay in to offset their emissions. A deal to sell a minority stake in its Western Canadian natural gas transmission network to a group of Indigenous communities has been delayed. TC Energy's billion-dollar agreement announced in July is meant to enable 72 Indigenous communities to take a 5% stake in a combined 25,000-kilometer natural gas pipeline network. The Calgary-based pipeline company says the deal is delayed due to what it calls a structuring issue. It says it's networking to ensure the deal delivers for Indigenous communities while upholding the value of the assets involved. Long-awaited questions are finally being answered. A Britain hospital where a nurse was convicted of murdering 7 babies and trying to kill 7 others is facing an inquiry into how so many newborns were harmed. Charles de Ledesma of the Associated Press has more on the review.
The probe at the Countess of Chester Hospital begins Tuesday against a push by supporters of Letby for a legal review of the evidence used against her. But the inquiry being held in Liverpool won't be reviewing this, instead looking at what failures led babies to be repeatedly harmed, how complaints by staff were managed and how parents were treated. Letby, who's 34, was convicted in 2023 of the murder of 7 infants and attempted murder of 6 others, including 2 attempts on 1 child. Charles de Ledesma, London.
The outcome of the investigation will also explore concerns with the National Health Service. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says changes need to be made with Israel's security forces after an American-Turkish woman was killed while demonstrating in the West Bank. Speaking to reporters in London, Blinken says this is a serious issue and the U.S. plans to raise it with Israel.
No one should be shot and killed for attending a protest. No one should have to put their life at risk just for freely expressing their views. In our judgment, Israeli security forces need to make some fundamental changes in the way that they operate in the West Bank, including changes to their rules of engagement.
2 eyewitnesses say the 26-year-old activist posed no threat when she was shot and killed. A federal appeals court has upheld a lower court ruling that blocks Arizona from enforcing a 2022 law that bans transgender girls from playing on girls' school sports teams. A 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said Monday that the lower court didn't make an error in concluding that before puberty, there are no significant differences between boys and girls in athletic performance. The panel concluded that the law, on its face, discriminates based on transgender status. The case will be sent back to the lower court and the law will remain blocked while the case is litigated. Some local weather. Burnaby is a mix of sun and clouds. These have been your morning headlines to 11 o'clock. Sophie Hansen, BCIT's The Crow.
On BCIT's 1680 The Crow. Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.